Mom uses my locked private diary and only true safe space as her daily reading material. When I was a preteen, my mom gifted me a diary with a tiny lock and keys. I hid the keys, taped them in hidden places, and began using it almost immediately. I was a bookworm and loved reading and writing. I was also quite neglected as a child, so my diary was the only place I could express myself and feel heard. I'd read my last entries, and that allowed me to reflect on my own thoughts and actions, and learn from past situations. It was honestly really great for my mental health. For a time, my mood and mental health improved. Time passed. I couldn't tell you how long. Probably a few months. Shortly after I wrote an entry talking about my first wet dream, a few seconds of feet peeking out of bed sheets, nothing truly NSFW, my mom got furious at me and confronted me, full on screaming. She sat me in the living room, as she towered over me, screaming at my face, asking me if I thought this was normal, that I was having depraved thoughts no child my age should have, for a preteen. Really? It was actually perfectly normal, that I had promised no sex before marriage when I was 5 years old, and that this was clearly going against my word, that I was, etc. I tried to defend myself at first and protest, not understanding how she even knew about it, but she took out the unlocked diary as proof of my depravity, and my attempts at defending myself, it was just a dream, just fueled her anger more. I sat there silently crying, answering quietly whatever she wanted me to say to whatever she asked, because nothing else would stop her escalation of screaming. I felt betrayed. My locked diary was my only safe place in that home. I was careful with what I wrote in my diary after that incident and set a few tests to check if I was still having my locked diary read without my knowledge or consent. I did this by writing about innocuous incidents in a way that could have sounded like it was more than it was, knowing it would prompt questions out of curiosity. Every time. It didn't take more than 2 days for the questions to come. Turns out, she'd hunt for my diary's keys and read it regularly. Needless to say, I stopped using my diary. My only breathing space had been turned against me. I significantly closed myself off from everyone. I felt if even my diary could betray me, then people even less. It was hard not writing. I no longer had an outlet for emotional or psychological relief. But I really couldn't trust anything anymore. After a week or two without any new entries, Mom asked why I had stopped using my diary. If I had dared, I'd have rolled my eyes and asked, "Why do you think?" But I knew better than to attract attention to myself and simply said I had lost interest in such a thing. My mom wants me to repay her the plane tickets for a trip I didn't want to take. So last year, my mom want my wife and I to fly with her and our 2 kids to Wyoming to see my older sister. We were all ready to go when, at the last minute, my older brother randomly texted the group chat my mom and sister had with us about the trip. He said he was looking forward to seeing us. Here is the problem with that. I specifically asked my mother if my brother was going to be a part of this trip. She swore up and down that he was not going to be anywhere near us. He had just gotten out of prison, again. I don't like my older brother because he is a liar and a thief, and some inappropriate nastiness he did to me when we were younger. My family downplays what happens, and even tells me that certain events didn't happen. My older brother is a narcissist who needs people to like him. He feels threatened when he knows someone doesn't like him, and becomes really hostile. That's pretty triggering for me. He does things like follow me into a room alone to trap me and tell me how much of a bitch I'm being to him, such like that. I just can't stand it, but no one wants to see that. So, after confronting my mother for conspiring against me the entire time, my wife called my mother and told her we were no longer going on the trip. Instead, I shut off my phone, and we took our kids on a family trip on our own. There was a bunch of family drama, but eventually we reconcile. My mother doesn't like how much I will defend my boundaries, but we get by. She called me up yesterday to tell me the plane tickets from that trip were still active, but only the 4 of us can use them because they are in our names. My mom can't transfer them to her name or use them herself even though she paid for them. Whoops. She wants me to pay her back the price of the 4 tickets, as well as use the tickets before the end of the year. On a trip with her to see my sister. I bought them for you, so it will have to be a trip with all of us. There is no way in any realm of hell I'm paying her for shit. The wife and I don't know where we're taking our kids yet, but we still have a few months to decide. My parents cut my beard when I was sleeping. My parents had a strict clean shave policy when I was growing up, but now I am an adult and now lives on my own. I had grown a kind of long French beard during the COVID lockdown and was visiting my family once the travel restrictions were relaxed. My parents are hardcore Islamophobes, and they were horrified seeing my Muslim beard, and they asked me to shave it, because people might think I have converted to Islam, and it's going to tarnish my family's reputation. I basically told them to fuck off and mind about their pubes rather than my beard. Today I was sleeping on the couch and my mom cut my beard off, and now it's an ugly mess and I have no option but to shave it off, and I can't fucking leave this place as I am under 14-day home quarantine as I traveled from another state and I feel they have one for now.